Hello, and welcome back to the TradNurse podcast. This is episode 27, where we blend faithful Christian living with the real world demands of nursing. I'm your host, Christine. I'm a Catholic nurse passionate about living our faith authentically, especially in scrubs, under fluorescent lights, and during those endless shifts. So today we're diving into the preparation for Lent for nurses. Lent season is here, and this is a sacred 40 days of prayer, penance, and preparation for Easter. And for Catholics who follow the 1962 liturgical calendar and the pre-Vatican II disciplines, Lent calls for a more rigorous approach to fasting and abstinence. But how do we live that out when we're pulling 12-hour shifts, working nights, weekends, covering for colleagues, or even holidays? A lot of nurses work on Easter. So how do we abstain, fast, and pray without burning out or risking our ability to care for our patients? I struggled when I first became a nurse working every other weekend. I knew it was a conflict of interest for me. And I know that in the Catholic religion, if you have to work on Sundays or holidays or holy days of obligation, you get a pass for not being able to go to Mass. However, I noticed in my life that without that daily support of the church, your parish, the people around you, you slip. So I understand that. And it is something you're going to have to talk to a priest about because it is necessary. I have come to believe that nursing and caring for the sick is an act of mercy that is rooted in the Christian and the Catholic faith. And so when they used to have Mass at the hospitals and offer Mass to the patients, I do believe that nurses were given a Mass too. So with that said, we'll cover the traditional 1962 rites, and then we'll get practical with tips tailored for nurses, especially when getting to church does feel impossible. So let's turn Lent into a time of deeper union with Christ, even on the hospital floor. First, let's clearly outline the traditional Lenten fasting and abstinence rules as observed in 1962. Per the 1917 Code of Canon Law and the liturgical practices of traditional Catholicism. And these are often followed today by those who attend the traditional Mass. On Mass on Sunday, Father gave us a list, and I will make a copy of this and put it down below, but it is the current practice of Lent, what they do in the more modern Catholic Church, and then the 1962 traditional practice. And so this Lenten season, I'm going to follow the traditional 1962 practice. It's stricter and definitely more focused on meditation and prayer and almsgiving. Okay, so who is bound? Abstinence means no meat from the age of 7 onward. Fasting from age of 18 to 59. Abstinence from meat means no flesh meat, no beef, pork, poultry, soups, and gravy made with meat. Fish, eggs, dairy are allowed. Fasting days we know would be abstinence from meat. Complete abstinence, so that's complete abstinence means no meat at all. So on Ash Wednesday, I'm not going to eat meat at all. On every Friday during the Lenten season, I'm not eating meat at all. And then on Holy Saturday until midnight. The partial abstinence to meat is allowed only at your principal meal. Other weekdays of Lent, Monday through Thursday, just eat meat at your main meal, whether that's lunch or dinner. And then Sundays in Lent are exempt. They're a day for observance of the Sabbath and a day of joy. It's my favorite day. And then fasting 1 full meal per day plus 2 smaller meals that together don't equal the full one. So there's no snacking between meals. You can have liquids, water, coffee, tea, milk, juice. They're permitted at any time. Every day of Lent is a day of fast, except for on Sundays and a certain first-class feast. A complete fast and complete abstinence is especially strict. They're strict on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, and then the Fridays of Lent and Holy Saturday until midnight. So I like to make myself a calendar and just what days am I fully abstaining from meat and what days is it a partial abstinence. These rules are more demanding than your post-Vatican II norms. Your more modern churches will just, it's come down to you just basically give up something. They don't talk a lot about not eating meat on Fridays. The focus is mainly on Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, and then every Friday during Lent. But you're not eating a full meals during the day either. So you're fasting almost every day, but the full fasts are on Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, and every other Friday during Lent. Catholics embrace this as a beautiful way to unite with Christ's sacrifice. Lent was always a chore for me when I was younger, but now I look forward to it. I just say no to parties, get-togethers. I go deep into prayer. Last year, I gave up all social media. This year, it's parties, alcohol. I don't really drink much anymore, but that goes along with parties. And I'm adding to it, also giving up. I'm adding the Holy Rosary, all three mysteries, the joyful, sorrowful, and the glorious. I'm not going to do the luminous. So that's going to be my Lent. But as nurses, we know that our bodies are our temples and patient safety comes first. If health conditions such as diabetes, low blood sugar, pregnancy, elderly, the rules are lessened and make strict fasting unsafe. So if you have health conditions, obviously you're going to alter your fast. So the church has always allowed dispensations. Consult a traditional Catholic priest if you need to, or your pastor in your church. Common sense prevails. Don't jeopardize your ability to care for your patients who are entrusted in you. You need energy to care for them. But I find that when I'm fasting, I have more energy and I'm more focused and I'm better able to care for patients and be more present for them. And it is a good time to go inward. Now, how do we make this work on those brutal shifts? Those 12-hour shifts are long. The night shifts are brutal. So here's some practical suggestions specific for nurses during Lent. Plan your meals around your shift. The day shift is usually 7A to 7P. I work a 6A to 6P, which I love. So make your principal meal dinner at home, your full meal on your partial days. So for me, my full meal will be when I get home from work at 6 or 7 o'clock. And breakfast and lunch becomes the two smaller ones, like a yogurt or a fruit for breakfast and maybe some cheese and crackers for lunch, but no snacks in between those. Your lunches are small. And if you're on the night shift, I didn't like to eat on the night shift. I found it made me tired and sluggish. So maybe your principal meal could be breakfast after your shift, although I don't like to eat and go to sleep, with smaller meals during the night, nuts, cheeses, some soups you can prepare ahead of time. And then on your complete abstinence days, stick to fish, eggs, hard-boiled eggs are great, veggies. And the best tip is prep your meals in advance. Hard-boiled eggs, your cheese snacks, your veggie soups, tuna salads, pack a cooler for work. That's for the days you're not eating meat. And then on your partial abstinence, this is what we do in the more traditional Catholic way. You're going to have a smaller portion of meat at your main meal to keep your energy up. without breaking the rules. So adapt that abstinence creativity. Like I said, I'm going to copy these rules for fasting and put them down below. So you can be creative with your abstinence. On no meat days, lean more into your fish, tuna, salmon, and eggs, peanut butter, lentils, nuts, any other way you can provide your protein. And then holidays and weekends on shift, treat them like any other Lenten weekday. Abstinence still applies all throughout Friday. And use your quiet moments for extra prayer. Stay hydrated and energized. Liquids always are allowed, and they're crucial for nurses. Black coffee, tea, vegetable broth on your strict days. Electrolyte drinks help to combat fatigue, especially if you're reducing your calories. And then incorporate prayer seamlessly into your shift. Quick aspirations while charting or walking the halls. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, I love you. Save our souls, save the souls, or the Fatima prayer after meals. Rosary on the go. Pray a decade of the rosary between breaks, or split the full rosary across the shift. And you can get a pocket rosary or a finger count rosary. There are apps you can use, an audio rosary app if you're busy and you want to listen discreetly during charting. I see nurses on the night shift wearing earbuds. I personally wouldn't do that. I just think it's rude, but the younger ones are doing it. So, and then offer your shift. Dedicate those tough moments, those codes, those difficult patients, difficult families, as a penance. Unite it to Christ's passion. Stay inwards and say, Lord, I offer this suffering for the souls in purgatory, or in reparation for sins against your Sacred Heart. The Stations of the Cross. Our church does the Stations of the Cross on Friday. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Pray mentally during downtime. Visualize each station as you walk the halls or wait for elevators. Use a phone app with the images for focus. And when you can't get to church, spiritual alternatives for busy shifts. Many nurses face schedules where attending daily Mass, Stations of the Cross, adoration, or even Sunday Mass is just truly impossible. And no sin attaches when it's genuinely out of your control. The church recognizes impossibility and excuses obligations. If you're a nurse and you're working every other weekend and there's no reasonable other way to attend. But don't let that stop your Lent. Turn your heart and your work towards God. Make a spiritual communion multiple times a day. My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the most holy sacrament. I love you above all things, and I desire to receive you into my soul. Since I cannot at this moment receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart, and say that during a quiet moment or a break. Pray the liturgy of the hours. Use a pocket card or an app. There's a lot of apps out there. I use the Amen app when I just want to rest. And my church actually has an app for the traditional missal. I actually bring my missal to church just because I like holding it and I like the book, and just brings me back. I like reading the gospel. It sinks in more than just hearing it. And then mental prayer or meditation, spend 5 to 10 minutes in silence if possible. Or while you're doing your tasks, meditate on the Passion, read a short gospel passage, or reflect on the imitation of Christ. Virtual or audio devotions. I like to also listen to the traditional Latin Mass online. I attend as often as I can and every Sunday, but I do like to listen to the hymns, the different sermons. There are many channels out there. And like the rosary with audio, if you're driving to and from your shift, is a good way to wind down from a crazy day or give you the strength to carry out that long shift. Increase interior acts. Offer every patient interaction as almsgiving or charity. Smile through the exhaustion. Speak kindly to a demanding family. Small mercies become your Lenten practice. And then get to confession if you can. prior to Ash Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Aim for monthly or more. The traditional parishes, they will schedule so that there's always a priest in confession prior to every Mass. So that's nice. You're going to confession and then you attend the Mass. That's how it should be. I think that's how it used to be back in the day. Now there's hours. So it's more complicated and more difficult to get to confession. Spiritual extras for busy nurses: give up complaining about your shift work. Offer it up. It is the best thing about being a nurse, actually, is the ability to offer up as a sacrifice your helping of another during their most vulnerable times. Limit screen time and social media. Replace that with spiritual reading of the scripture. I love reading my missal before and after, and like during the week. I've got a daily missal. Imitation of Christ or the lives of the saints on your phone. I do like listening to the saints' stories. I can't get enough. Family prayer, even 5 minutes of a night prayer as a family before you go to bed. Lent isn't about perfection. It's about growth. Last year when I gave up social media, it literally changed me. I don't think I've ever gone back. I mean, work, I have this podcast, but I'm pretty much don't really engage as much on social media. So it has changed me. So yeah, it's about growth. No matter what gets thrown at you, or you're feeling like you need a snack because of low blood sugar because you're fasting, be kind to yourself, be merciful to yourself, and confess it if needed. But the little things, at least our priest said, we don't need to confess the little things because your venial sins should be forgiven at Mass if your soul is clear. The goal is to draw closer to Christ through sacrifice. And as nurses, we're already living a corporal work of mercy every day, caring for the sick. So layering Lent on top of that, and it becomes a powerful offering. So I actually really enjoy Lent. I find it very comforting and quiet, prayerful. So I hope this helps. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a fellow nurse. Drop a comment or DM me on social media at TradNurse. How are you observing Lent this year? Are there any stumbling blocks that are coming for you, especially with shift challenges and extra work? May Our Lady of Lourdes, patroness of nurses and the sick, intercede for us this Lent. And let's finish strong for Easter. God bless you, and take care out there.